We have been very clear with Israel on the imperative in this instance, as in other instances, to immediately investigate and determine exactly what happened and why it happened. And if accountability is necessary, to make sure that there is accountability. We've heard from the Israelis, but again, absent a complete investigation, I can't verify any of this, that small diameter weapons were used in a targeted fashion to go after specific terrorist leaders of Hamas.
Hello everybody, hope you are well. Rafah episode has really left me shaken. I mean, who has not been disturbed or affected by what happened in Rafah or what is still happening in Rafah? I mean, you really have to be human animals, heartless human animals, to not be moved by what is happening in Rafah. You only have to be, the members of the Biden administration or the Western countries' leaders or Antony Blinken to not get moved. Or Nikki Haley, who was signing a special message on those shells that are meant to be dropped on the unarmed population in Rafah. What she was writing? Finish them. Finish them. That's one aspect of Western country has always been an enigma of sorts for me. That how do you become so heartless? I mean, is that one of the prerequisites to be a part of the Western civilization? I have lived in the UK for 24, 23 years. One aspect that has never made sense to me about Western population or Western civilization, so-called indigenous population, the white population, is that why are they so heartless when it comes to the atrocities being committed on non-white population? Why do they become suddenly stone cold? I don't think UK was ever like that. At least British society was ever like that. I don't think so. I recall a moment about 18 to 19 years ago. There was a celebrity big boss, Indian celebrity, not a very famous Bollywood actress, Shilpa Shetty, was taking part, and she was racially abused by another contestant, British contestant called Jade Goody. And I don't think that was really a racial abuse, but nonetheless what she had said was in poor taste. And that triggered so much of outrage that they decided to make Shilpa Shetty the winner, who was absolutely, nobody knew Shilpa Shetty in this country. And yet they decided to make her the winner. That was their way of saying that, look, we are not racist. But now, 18 years later, I think the racism, Islamophobia, everything have become very acceptable. You only have to look at the TV screens. People like Nigel Farage being platformed on mainstream TV channels as I speak. He's appearing on Question Time. Yesterday, his party member Lee Anderson was on another BBC program. The same fellow was on Sky News. And we know the Reform Party doesn't have a single MP. So the Ofcom is also just not bothered about it. They're choosing to look the other way. So what I'm saying is that the whole British society, the Western society, it's just become madness, complete anarchy. So coming back to the topic, the reason why I'm recording this video is that I went through the hour-long press conference each of both the State Department spokesperson Matt Miller and the White House official John Kirby. And I was outraged, to put it mildly. I know many of you asked me why I was not giving my commentary. It's just that I was exhausted. It was the point when you say, is there any merit? Does it make any sense? Does it really help what you say? But this afternoon, I was watching Antony Blinken, who is the Secretary of State. So he was doing a joint press conference after meeting Moldovan president. And in that joint press conference, there was a question asked about the situation in Rafah. You really have to watch his 6-minute rant to understand whether the Biden administration really cares. Don't forget that up until now, they have been saying that Israel hasn't given them a concrete plan. So therefore, whatever Israel does in Rafah doesn't have American support or will not have American support. But now, if we listen to Antony Blinken or his minions who addressed press conferences yesterday, you would see the broader theme, the central theme is that come what may, we will defend Israel. So now the narrative have changed. So that is why it's very important to never trust this administration or the governments of Western countries who are supporting Israel, because their central objective is to support and back Israel at any cost.
And as the U.S. has hesitated about where the Ukrainians can strike, numerous credible reports say that the U.S. provided the very precision munitions that resulted in the deaths of dozens of innocent Palestinian civilians, including children, at that refugee camp outside of Rafah. The NSM report that your department largely issued already assessed that Israel's military is likely not doing all that it can to minimize civilian harm. So were American weapons used in Sunday's strike? And are you urging President Biden to reevaluate any U.S. weapons shipments to Israel in light of its recent actions in and around Rafah? And if I may, sir, today, Israel's national security advisor said that the military offensive in Gaza would last at least through the end of this year. Is that acceptable to your administration, to the Biden administration?
With regard to Rafah, the incident a couple of days ago was horrific. I don't think anyone who has seen the images cannot be deeply affected by them, just on a basic human level. We have been very clear with Israel on the imperative in this instance, as in other instances, to immediately investigate and determine exactly what happened and why it happened. And if accountability is necessary, to make sure that there is accountability. I can't tell you, as we meet here this evening, what weapons were used or how they were used. All of that needs to be the product of a deliberate but also fast investigation, and we'll await the results. I think we also know something else. We've heard from the Israelis, but again, absent a complete investigation, I can't verify any of this, that small diameter weapons were used in a targeted fashion to go after specific terrorist leaders of Hamas. Again, I can't vouch for that in this moment. We have to see what the investigation shows. But just assuming for a moment that that's the case, that that's what happened, I think we also see that even limited, focused, targeted attacks designed to deal with terrorists who've killed innocent civilians and are plotting to kill more, even those kind of operations can have terrible, horrific, unintended consequences. And I think it's very important in this moment, after Israel has had real success in helping to destroy Hamas's capacity to repeat October 7th, which was a very appropriate and very righteous objective. It has to ask whether, and especially in the absence of a plan for the day after in Gaza, further incremental gains against Hamas, but gains that may not be durable in terms of Hamas's defeat in the absence of a plan, how that stacks up against some of the, again, unintended but horrific consequences of military action in a place where the people you're going after are so closely embedded with civilians. And I think this underscores the imperative of having a plan for the day after, because in the absence of a plan for the day after, there won't be a day after. And this is where we need to go, and we need to get as quickly as possible a plan for the day after that does not leave Israel responsible for Gaza, which it says it does not want to be. But if it is, it will simply have an enduring insurgency on its hands for as far as one can see into the future. Or not, if not, Hamas will be left in charge, which is unacceptable. Or if not, we'll have chaos, lawlessness, and a vacuum that eventually will be filled again by Hamas, or maybe something, if it's possible to imagine, even worse, jihadis. So I think the imperative, the urgency of having a clear plan, one that can actually help ensure the enduring defeat of Hamas, which is a shared objective and should be everyone's objective, is urgent, is imperative, and a plan that accounts for security in Gaza, that accounts for governance in Gaza, and that accounts for rebuilding the lives of the Gazan people.
As the national security advisor.
Again, let me leave it at that. And with regard to the remarks, I think what I've just said underscores, in our judgment, the urgency and importance of developing a plan that can actually produce the results that Israel, we and so many others believe are necessary, which is the effective, durable defeat of Hamas. And we've shared many ideas with Israel about how to do that in an effective and sustainable way.
So this clown says that Israel, being an accused, will be tasked to investigate its own crime. I don't know why America even has courts. I mean, any crimes taking place in America should be left to the accused to investigate and give the verdict. Why do you have impartial courts? So when you have mass shootings taking place in America, shouldn't it be left to the suspect or the shooter to investigate and give a verdict about his crime or her crime? I mean, this doesn't make sense, and they don't even care. They know that it doesn't make any sense, and yet they say those things because they know that, they are not bothered about what the public perception is. They simply don't care about public perception because they know that the same public will vote for them. They don't care about few millions of, browns or the non-whites people. They don't care about their votes. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.